G'day everyone, I'm Matt Thompson. Welcome along to this special edition of Footy Feed as we go through the 2015 Toyota AFL Premiership season fixture club by club. Nick Bowen and Travis King have been pouring through it round by round. Welcome guys, good to see you.
Thanks,
G'day matey.
Good to be here.
All right, let's begin, Trav, with Adelaide. An easy start for them, but a tough run home.
That's right, matey. It's potentially a great start for new coach Phil Walsh, but it could be a brutal finish. I mean, to start off with, they have a smooth run to the bye. Only 3 finalists in the first 10 games. Could get a jump start with their new coach Phil Walsh. Host the Hawks on a Thursday night. It's a real marquee clash in round 12 to start that round. No back-to-back 6-day breaks or consecutive travel. The cons for the Crows, only one game at the MCG. That's against Carlton in round 10. The only bottom 6 team they played twice is the Lions as well, and we're expecting them to jump up the ladder a bit next season. And the tough run home, they play 6 finalists and 6 contenders in the last 12 rounds, so that could really sort them out.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like such a long way off, but that is going to be a challenging run home. What we're going to do with each club is give them a grade, a bit like school. So let's start with the Crows.
I'm going to say B- for the Crows, matey. They've got that nice start, a few marquee games, but that run home, anything could happen there.
All right, Nick, your first club to deal with is the Brisbane Lions. A difficult start for them.
It is, Matty. Over the first 8 weeks, they play 4 of last year's finalists. And they do have 3 of their first 4 games at the Gabba, so things aren't all bad. And there's obviously that great season opener against Collingwood, where they'll play, or rather Dane Beams will face his old side again. So there'll be a lot of interest around that. They only have 3 6-day breaks, and the only top 4 team that they play twice is North Melbourne as well. So, commercially, no Thursday or Friday night games. They'll probably be a little bit disappointed about that, and only the one sort of game at the G as well. So, things could have probably been a little bit better on that front.
All right, what are you thinking in terms of a grade?
Well, purely on terms of on-field, I think that it'll set them up for the finals. I'll give them an A.
All right, so some confidence there for Lions fans. Now, Trav, Carlton has a stack of Friday night games. Do they deserve them, you reckon?
Yeah, well, it's debatable, Matty, going on their 13th place finish from last season. But, yeah, time will tell there whether they deserve them or not. It's a rollercoaster fixture for the Blues. The obvious one, they host the season opener versus Richmond. That's a massive plus. 6 Friday night games, as you mentioned. So equals second most in the competition with the Pies. And they got 4 Saturday Arvo games at the G as well, which is a bit of a boon for them. An opportunity knocks early, I think, for the Blues this season. They obviously had a shocking start last year, with zipping 4. Only played 2 finalists in the first 7 weeks. So they can really get off to a flyer. Cons, 7 6-day breaks, not ideal. They've got one of the older lists as well in the competition at the moment. They've got 6-day breaks coming out from New Zealand and Perth as well, which will hurt. And then round 16 to 20 is very tough. They've got Freo in Perth, the Hawks, North, Collingwood, and then the Lions at the Gabatoir. So that won't be easy.
All right, a grade for the Blues?
A grade for the Blues, B+. They've got the marquee games there, but the 6-day breaks could hurt.
All right. Now, just before we get to Collingwood, there's a big game coming up in, I think it's round 5.
That's right, yep.
With Mick Malthouse celebrating what is a magnificent milestone, breaking Jock McHale's record.
An incredible achievement, Matty, isn't it, really? And I think that it's great that he had the chance and the privilege, I think deservedly so, to choose the team that they obviously played against, or the Blues will play against, and that's his old team, Collingwood.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolute ripper. There'll be a big build-up to that, there is no doubt. So let's talk about the Magpies. It's worth remembering that they're the team that everyone wants to play. They've got 14 games at the G.
They are the cash cow of the competition, aren't they, Matty? I think, as you say, everyone wants to play against them. They've got home MCG blockbusters against Carlton, Essendon, Geelong and Richmond. And look, on the other side of things for them, with the, great favourable features. They don't play another top 4 team from last year twice, and they've got no 6-day breaks after travelling. I suppose on the tougher side of things, they've got 8 6-day breaks. They've got a tough stretch as well between rounds 13 and 15, where they'll play Freo at Patterson's, Hawthorn, and then Port Adelaide at Adelaide Oval. So an interesting one as well for them as well on the commercial side. 2 home games at Etihad Stadium, which you can't imagine Collingwood supporters would be overly thrilled about. But there's not a lot wrong there, I don't think, Matty.
So Eddie hasn't got anything to complain about, you reckon, as you give your grade?
Commercially and in terms of on the field, I'll give them an A+.
Wow.
I think everything's pretty good there.
That is as high as you can get, an A+ for the Magpies. Now, Essendon has a tough draw, but a win for fans, apparently, Trav, and this might surprise some people.
Yeah, really interesting one, that one, Matty. The Bombers surveyed their fans and actually requested more afternoon games. That's what the fans wanted, apparently, and that's what they've got. They've got 11 day games, 7 night games. Pros as well, they've got 17 games in Victoria, equal highest of any Melbourne or Victorian-based club. And blockbusters, they got them against the Pies, the Tigers and the Hawks, twice at the MCG. That'll be huge for them. St Kilda twice too, which would be handy. Obviously, the wooden spooners from last year. even though they did beat them, the Saints, at Etihad last season. And only 2 Friday nights, as we mentioned. The Cons, the nightmare start. They're facing the Swans and their nemesis Buddy in the first round. Then they've got Hawthorn in round 2. So they really could be chasing tail the Bombers after the first couple of rounds. And 7 6-day breaks as well, so that's not ideal.
Yes, there's been some interesting reaction from fans on Twitter to the Bombers fixture. How have you graded them?
I gave them a B. It's a pretty tough start, but it's a pretty enticing fixture from a marketing perspective. So. All
right, now to Fremantle, Nick. They have a challenging first month, that's for sure.
I think that's putting things lightly, really, Matty, isn't it? When you look at it, it's Port, Geelong at Simmons Stadium, West Coast, obviously in the derby, where you can never really sort of know who's favourite there, and the Sydney Swans as well. So that's as tough as it can get. Having said that, 4 of their first 6 matches will come at Patterson's at home, so that's a bonus. They do play Melbourne twice. They've got blockbuster home games against Essendon, Richmond, Collingwood and Carlton that'll keep the bean counters happy. On the negative side, they play Port Adelaide, North Melbourne and Richmond twice. They play Hawthorn and Geelong just the once, but both in away clashes as well, which is not ideal. And they've got 2 trips to Adelaide as well, which I think with those sides next year probably both up and flying. I don't think they'll be easy games either.
How have you marked them?
Giving them a B. I think after a tough start, things will open up for them a bit.
All right, now to Geelong and Trav. They put those lights in down there, but just the one night game at Simmons Stadium, they spent a fortune on the lights. Yeah,
you'd have to think, well, they've come out today and said they are disappointed with that, Matty. Internally, I expect they'd be really disappointed with that. They had 5 home games under lights this season. There's the potential around 23 that we don't have the fixture yet. They could play that under lights, so we'll see what happens there. The pros side of things, they have got an extra game at Simmons this year. They've got 8 games there as opposed to 7 this season. Played some pretty good teams as well. They've got Freo, the Swans, North, Gold Coast, all travelling down the highway. They don't leave Victoria. This is a big one, I reckon, until round 7. They go up to Sydney, so they could get a good start there. 4 Friday night games, pretty happy with that. The Cons for the Cats, only one night game, as we mentioned, 8 6-day breaks, which is equal highest in the competition, and a really tough stretch between rounds 9 to 11. They go to West Coast in Perth, Essendon when they get back from Perth, and they play Port at the Adelaide Oval before the bye, so that's pretty tough.
Yeah, that is a tough run just before the bye. A grade?
A B for them. They'd be happy at home but disappointed about the light situation.
All right, now, Nick, the Gold Coast. It is a great place to visit. It is an awesome place to live, but they've only got 1 home game in the first 4 rounds.
Well, Matty, I think their new coach, Rodney Eade, might just be forgiven where he's actually coaching in that first 4 rounds, as you say, because the only team they'll play at home is St Kilda in round 2. Having said that, they've got a few things in the draw that I think make up for that. They've got some blockbuster games at home against Collingwood and Essendon. The only top 4 team they play twice is the Swans. And they've only got the 3 6-day breaks, which is really quite low as well. On the negative side of things, and I think this is probably indicative of the new boys earning their stripes, no Thursday or Friday night games. They've got a really tough last month as well. Richmond at the G, Essendon, Port and Sydney Swans at the G as well. So, yeah, look, a tough way to finish the season, especially when they'll be looking to make that first final series.
I've got to say, if your team is playing the Gold Coast Suns, book your flights. Like, seriously, it is well worth getting up there for a game. Tell us your grade.
A B+ for the Suns. I think they'll get a real chance to make their first final series.
And the beach as well. You get to go to the beach while you're up in the theme park.
You just want to put your Speedos on, don't you, Tom?
It's so good, it's so good. Let's talk about the Giants next. They'll get some big MCG experience, which I think is important for them.
Yeah, absolutely. They played 3 games at the MCG this year, so they're playing 1 less next season, which is interesting, but they're playing power clubs. They're playing the Pies and the Tigers at the home of footy. They'll be stoked about that, there's no doubt about it. And they also have a great start to the season, Matty. They're playing St Kilda at Etihad and Melbourne at home, so the potential there to start the season well like they did this year. Only 4 6-day breaks, none back-to-back as well. Pretty happy with that. The Cons, really tough run, round 17 to 21. This, yeah, look away now if you're a Giants fan. Geelong, Freo, Essendon, Port and the Swans. Again, earning your stripes. Only the 1 night game. That's over in Perth against West Coast in round 5, and no Thursday or Friday night games for the Giants just yet.
Yeah, a few realities in that fixture. You'd suggest a grade?
A for the Giants. They're happy with that MCG exposure, I would have thought.
All right, we are halfway through our club-by-club breakdown. We're going to hit pause right now. Part 2 is just a click away, so hope you can join us.